I've got something I want you to try, and this will help you tremendously to overcome being shy. Now, there is a challenge. At some point, you have to challenge yourself that I need to go meet a new person. Like this is, I've got to overcome this hurdle of meeting a new person. And so, we break out of the shell, and we peep around and we're like, okay, it's going to take everything in me and I'm going to go across this room and I'm going to meet one new person. And it's going to be so hard and I'm going to try it. Well, that's a great exercise, but I've got a different exercise for you. I want you to go to an event where no one knows you, where no one at all knows you. And I want you to go in there and I want you to meet 25 to 50 people in the course of a few hours. Now, I know you're probably shocked, like, oh, I'm shy. Like, I'm shy. I can't do that. That would take it. Listen, it's going to take everything in you to meet one person. Okay? And they're like, oh, well, it'll take everything in me again. And no, absolutely not. Basically, when you go in and it's going to take all the energy you've got to meet the first person. But the beauty of this is when you go to a place where no one knows you, you can be anybody you want to be. Now, I'm not saying pretend and make up things. I'm just saying with your personality, you can go in and you can even pretend to be famous, inside to yourself, like, hey, I'm famous, like I'm worth something. I can do this, and I'm going to meet all these people. When you break down the first wall, it's going to take a lot of effort. It'll take forever to convince yourself that, hey, I need to go to some event with a whole bunch of strangers, and you might put that off. But for those of you that will do this, I want to go ahead and plant that seed in your mind. You need to go to an event where there's hundreds and maybe thousands of people that you don't know, and not focus on meeting one person that night, but meeting 25 to 50. And what you're going to do is you're going to use the energy from that first conversation, like I actually did this, and you're going to immediately jump into the next conversation or the next person's eyes you run into contact with, and you're like, I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to do it back to back, and I'm going to do it. Now, the reason for doing this, and yes, it would be terribly emotionally hard. You know what? The emotionally hard things to do in life are worth doing. Well, if you will actually go and do this, when you walk away from this event, you will be able to always look back and go, hey, dude, I remember that night where I talked to 50 people in a row and I was on fire, and I can tell anybody about my job for 2 minutes and I can ask 7 questions and not be boring, and I can walk away and they don't have to know my foibles, they don't have to know my sins, they don't have to know my hang-ups, they don't have to know that I'm poor and broke and lonely. They don't have to know any of that. All they have to know is, I met a new exciting person at this event, and man, that was great. And when you have that track record history of, hey, I actually met 25 to 50 people that night, you will now have under your belt the strength and the experience to say, the next time you meet a human being, to say, I can do this again. You see, what happens is there is a reflex or a recoil in us that when we put introverts, when they put themselves out there to meet a person, then your personality later, after you have met that person, your personality tends to bring you back. And then it takes a lot of energy to go meet another person again. But after you've put 25 and 50 relationships and conversations into play in one evening, it takes a lot less effort to just meet the next person. There is some conditioning going on here. See, if you want to get over your shyness, why don't you just go and pour yourself out there for one night? And you're probably thinking, I can't do that. Could you do it for one night? Could you torture yourself? Could you make a fool of yourself for one night to change your future?